So this is a story of how someone who I thought, and we've all had this, a non-technical resource phoned me up the night before and said to me, Rory, I need you to change your Java talk that you're well known for to a C# talk. And by the way, I also need you to teach them artificial intelligence and also cloud within 25 minutes. So I've done this before. And the only way that you can eat an elephant is
one piece at a time.
One piece at a time. So you need to actually start off one point, but the easiest way for you to start at any given time is to showcase that you can do it. So you can create in 25 minutes or 30 minutes an equivalent bot that you could present at the United Nations. And there is a way to do that, and I'm going to showcase it today with you. I'm not going to build the bot specifically with you because the ingestion of data and everything takes a while to do that. But I'm going to showcase everything, and then we're going to go in and we're going to terrorize the poor creature around that. So I am based in Johannesburg in South Africa, and I work for Microsoft. You can see the little, I've come branded here. And I travel the world speaking to people about using Microsoft technologies, and I work for global advocacy in Microsoft, which is an interesting attempt at making developers use our tools even though they don't have any money. We create that influence with in mind that in 3 to 4 years' time, it will blossom into fruition though, which is an interesting hypothesis though, but it works. We've got 40 million developers, we engage with them. I personally work with the Java developers, the accessibility team, and also the AI team around that. So this session we're going to do today, it's about 40 minutes, and we have a slide deck, and then we have a demo for that. So the first thing I want to tell you about that this talk originally was how I programmed in the shower in the bath. But it changed because I had to program quickly in the bath to get to the UN. Now, who here programs in the bath or the shower?
A little bit. I debug in the shower.
Debug in the shower. So the novelty is that when global advocacy and someone says to me, Rory, okay, cool, in half an hour I want you to speak in front of the EU Parliament and I need you to have X, Y, Z. And wherever you are at that time, you have to actually get a working environment up and running. You don't have an option to do that, else the EU Parliament is gone. So you need to be able to do that. So the first thing I do when I wake up is I get into the bath or shower, I have my phone and I say, cool, spin it up. And I spin up my entire environment for me via that. And I don't have to worry about it on my phone. And you'll see today, my entire environment I've got running the bot I'm going to showcase today is actually running in an Azure code space, GitHub code spaces. I forget. We own them, but we can't talk about them like we own them. Yes. In a GitHub code space. And last night when I was getting ready for this talk, I said to myself, I have to set up my laptop. I go, no, you don't, Rory. You just have to actually go into GitHub and download the dev container. So spin up the environment, set up the dev container. You've got it on your browser. It's done. You don't even have to worry about the PC that you're using at the time. Or it works on my machine. Do we trust that? No, we don't. We don't do that, just like we don't trust any of you with passwords. Okay, so please on the way out, please pass your passwords back, not to me, to Karen, and please get, use Key Vault around. I'll show you today about Key Vault. Okay, so this is proof. That is one of the talks that I did in front of a couple of thousand people. That's on my phone. And that's running a dev container. That's running Visual Studio Code on my Samsung at the time A50 phone. So yeah, there is a problem with doing anything in the shower. Make sure that you have an IP68 version phone, because if you drop it, you can't code underwater. Okay, so I attracted a lot of you here with the words of AI. And you've a little bit confused about AI. You know that something's happened very quickly, and it was one of the quickest adoptions ever for a technology. principally around school children wanting to cheat. But listen, we're equal opportunists. We'll make money off them also, though. But people are lividly scared right now. You can see at the top, we have AI sentiment analysis here. Oh, that's definitely not working. Let's go back there. Okay, that's not working. So at the top there, you can see good for humanity. It's just fun. It's just a toy. None of us think that right now. I think everyone has gone over like oh my God, I can send poetry to my wife. It's more than a toy. Entertaining, but no real use cases. If you use Bard, yes, maybe, because it just lies. It actually tells you it lies. It's the weirdest thing. And then from good to humanity to useless, we have bad for humanity and useless. Just a statistical parrot. Theoretically, yes. Dangerous. We're already kind of seen that it can be. And then we've got the bottom, bad for humanity and capable. AI will take our jobs. We can discuss that a little bit, though, but I don't believe that. Humans will become dumb, yeah, and amplifies fake news, hate speech. AI will take over and enslave us all, though. We've seen a lot of people on the podcasts, Elon Musk, a lot of people going in there and advocating certain parts of that element, though. But we believe that it unlocks new human potential, and there are some very useful applications. Specifically around the fact that we're all lonely. Like, we want someone to talk to. Now, as a developer, you have something called the rubber ducky. So you take a rubber ducky, you pop it on your back, and you talk to it. And then that vocalization creates a sounding board for you to be able to understand what you're talking about. What you're actually doing there is you're changing the weighting patterns for your thoughts. So as your thoughts go in and out, you're adjusting the weighting patterns. At worst case scenario, AI, what it's going to do is going to be a friend for you. It's going to create that loneliness, and it's going to give you that ability to do that. Nearly every slide I've created here has been with AI. This PowerPoint presentation that you see there, the actual file is done with AI. Through this, I said to him, do you like it? Yes. What about this? Give me a joke and everything like that. And it was a tit-for-tat experience for me because it allowed me to really kind of be creative. And that's what we really believe, and the crux of this talk is. It's not necessarily to take away or to move or to change or anything like that. It's giving you the space to not do the time waster actions and rather be creative and make stupid amounts of money. So generative AI, you can see here in 2032, this is one of that. The revenue is 1.3 trillion. And right at the end of it, I think by 2050, it's going to add $4 trillion onto the world's revenue. We're talking more money than electricity. It is just a huge win here. And there's more money than jobs, though. So when you have that argument, it's going to take our jobs, no. It's going to create hundreds, if not millions of jobs to be able to be creative with. And our prediction is in no longer than 3 years, anything that isn't connected to AI, be it a car, be it a toaster, be it your computer. We're pushing 150 changes in Windows updates this week. Most of them AI, is going to come across as either broken, if it's not got AI, or stupid. Or invisible, not stupid, sorry, we don't use those words at Microsoft, yes. But it's important to understand, because of the quick adoption, everything is going to have AI embedded in it. Also, everything you know is about to become super complicated. This is the graph of the web AIM that actually tests accessibility. I'm an accessibility advocate. But what you'll notice here is they test most of the home pages around the world, 1 million home pages, and it's becoming overly more complicated. So the web isn't getting simpler. And even with AI, you can see 2023, we should have become a little bit simpler. It's not. It's becoming more and more complicated. So we need a plan now. We need a plan to actually have a tool set and or a mechanism to go and adopt all of this, take advantage of that, and then create that AI intern to be more creative with. So the plan to save the world really is to use the Azure Developer CLI. If you remember Ruby on Rails, So we kind of switched it off the other day, but Ruby on Rails was fundamental in the mind shift for development, because in the early 2000s, every MacBook included the ability to just go generate an app site, and 600,000 websites were created within a space of a year, just because people had access to create websites on their laptop with a generation. So you had gem generator, and it would go in and it'll generate a site. Azure Developer CLI is a similar concept of that, though. Gives you the ability to create your websites with a thought. So I have an idea. I want to build an AI chat app. I need a front end, a back end, and a database. So for the front end, I want to use React. Listen, it won. It killed Angular, it killed Vue, it killed all of those other things. It's the dominant frame. So I want to use React. .NET for the back end, principally because we haven't really got around to using Java with AI as much as we would want to. We're going to get there. And GPT 3.5 because it's so cheap. For my database, I don't want to use a database. I don't want to use a relational database. Why do I want to use a relational database? I want to get everything into my GPT 3.5 bot, and then it retrieve the data for me. And for the IDE, I want to use VS Code. Locally, on web, anything that I can get my hands on my phone, I just want to use VS Code. And then I want to pop it on the cloud. Now to do that, I have to ask which cloud service should I use, what libraries, local dev environment, provision, configure, roles and infrastructure, run locally, deploy to the cloud, configure and observability, CI/CD pipeline. This is a degree. Literally, they teach less about this than at a degree. So how do you do that? And the biggest issue that we've had, and I've been teaching cloud now for 10 years, is the little glue, the little links that get the services running together. If I've got a database sitting in a VNet cluster, how do I actually get it to talk to my app service or the permission of the user there and around to do that? Not the app. We know how to build apps. That's a very tried and tested process, though. It's the code to cloud journey. Because it looks like, you can't see it there, it looks like that. That's an actual simpler version of that. And every we want 3 commands. We want you to say azd init, azd up, to CI/CD pipeline config, and then to monitor to get your dashboard. And if you want a template, you want a third-party template, you don't want to create your own, you can go azd init, and you choose the template, and it sits on a repository sometimes and pulls it down. So I knew about this. When the UN phoned me and said, listen, change it over to everything, and I said, okay, cool. I will, within the space of my abilities, choose a template that we vetted already for this. And then via that template, I'm going to just go azd init, that template, azd up, azd pipeline config, and then monitor it. Because I wanted to use AI, but I needed a great intern to do that. But I didn't need to be the intern. I wanted coffee. I don't want to go fetch coffee for someone. And I sure as hell didn't want to, do an AI that was half hazard. Now, I know Tay let us down, okay, the evil bot that we had to cull. But we've put in mitigation factors. It's called guardrails. It's what my wife does for me often when I say something inappropriate, or my children actually. We have multiple level of guardrails. We have the model, the safety system, the application, and the positioning around it. I'm going to show you how to do that though. Now, I'm going to show you 3 levels of guardrails that we're going to implement today also. Over and above the model. This is just the model. We're going to use Azure Cognitive Services to actually go in and scan documents. Then we're going to get the GPT-3 model that we're going to lock down to go in and analyze that data. We're going to use an intern. to go in and say, I've done a search on a document database, help me. But whoever sells you ChatGPT or a GPT, they need to also tell you about the nuances around it. Hallucinations, lack of real-world grounding. It works well with tier 1 languages. You try to use Klingon, doesn't work. Its interpretability and predictability is, it's hard to predict what it's going to do. And its high variance and novel inputs, ask it a dad joke. It will give you the same one and then it'll change it up. And also ethical AI, you want to lock it down completely. We actually have an AI orchestration layer that we use. So one is you're going to use the AI as the mechanism to deliver your application, the developer CLI. Second, we're going to take the AI, but we're going to use an AI orchestration layer called the semantic kernel. And I know what you're saying, Rory. Isn't this like LangChain? Yes, it is. It's a C# focused version of LangChain. And most of you are actually using it right now. You see, you don't realize. Use Bing, you're using it. You're using semantic kernel. We're about to push it into Windows, which uses semantic kernel though. Semantic kernel just is a augmentation pattern for AI. It augments what you're trying to do on AI. Because you want to do a lot more. So it's a facade pattern to some of you who understand the facade. I saw augment and they looked at me like, no, never heard of that. Facade pattern. Okay. Now in that you have an ask. So you're going to ask it, you're going to augment it, you're going to say to it, I know what I want from the AI, but I'm not going to ask it prompt this, prompt that, prompt this, prompt that, because that's prompt chaining. None of you will ever be able to do that as well as a data scientist. But you want to be able to prompt chain. Get some data, transform it, put it back in there, and then do that again, multiple times. So you have an ask. And that ask is, in this example, like for example, I have a need to understand corruption, anti-corruption. Rory, anti-corruption. And I have a need to understand anti-corruption. The ask will be, give me everything on my database storage that I've absorbed these documents on the UN anti-corruption that relates to corruption. But I didn't have to do or prompt that in that way. All I had to do was have an ask. Then it's going to put it to the planner, and the planner is going to go, first go for corruption, get the information for corruption, then go speak to the AI, then go in and maybe log it or trace it, and go through all those steps that I've defined to get me an augment and facade out. It's the same as going into a shopping cart and going, buy that product. It has to go and check stock. It has to check pricing. It has to do all of that. That's a facade pattern. And we have a few more nice little plugins for that, extensions, because extensions are the cool thing today. ChatGPT extensions, I think I have like 20 running right now. And we have skills, which I'm going to show you today, memories, because the thing doesn't have a memory. We have data APIs to speak to your legacy application databases, your SQL applications. See what I did there? Legacy SQL applications. And then it executes it, runs the steps, gets the results, and returns the results of it. So it's a facade pattern or augmentation pattern for AI now. And you can get it. We've also got something called Fabric coming that plugs into LangChain and also semantic kernel. But for now, it's a great opportunity to learn about that facade. And then you have your bot. This is the corruption bot here, which I'm going to demo. And it says, what is corruption? And the minute I do that, it triggers the planner services out there to go in, go check the cognitive service, go in and check the OpenAI, get all the data, maybe do some data scrubbing, maybe go call a custom function, use C# code to actually augment it, and then it gets it back. Familiar? This is what we did with the ETLs or with Excel. Remember Excel? Yeah, we're going to bring AI to that also though. But this is what Excel does, except we're bringing it a little bit further into the web. So the demo we're going to show today, we've got our code, which sits on GitHub. I'm not going to leave the browser, because I've got a dev container there. Then I've got my code. I've got a container apps, because they're so cheap. They're basically for free. And it's going to run a container there. It's going to run a .NET app or a Blazor app. Then it's going to speak to Kubernetes service. We don't use Kubernetes service. Okay, this diagram is wrong. We don't use Kubernetes. Oh. And then we have a storage account and a Redis cache. Because I'm going to take every document. So the UN contacted me and said, okay, cool, we've got these 11 documents. Please read them and please refresh yourself on corruption. Sorry, what? Yes, the diplomat says that we need you to go in and read this material. I said, but I don't read anymore. If I watch YouTube, I get ChatGPT to watch YouTube for me and then tell me what's going on. Oh, okay, just read the PDFs. I said, yeah, but if I'm reading the PDFs, the 100 people as part of the hackathon that you're doing here that I have to workshop, they should read the PDFs also. I'll build them a bot. I'll ingest all of the information for them, and then they can actually get information from that. And I can train them on what is corruption and how to do anti-corruption, not what is corruption, how to do anti-corruption via the bot. And then obviously you've got Azure load testing. So what Azure load testing does, and this is very novel, it actually uses load testing, but it goes in and takes all of the material and load tests it to actually get the material in. So you can load test, you can use Azure load testing to actually load material in there. We chunk the PDFs, so there's 11 PDFs, 1,200 chunks of that PDF. We chunk it down. Each one of that goes into an Azure Cognitive Service search, and then we index that, and then we say to the bot, there's data. Go get that data to the bot. The bot says, oh, okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you for embedding the data for me right now. I don't need to use a relational database. Where in this space do you see a relational database? You don't. And then we also plug in a lot of nice monitorings. So in the demo, I want you to kind of see three things that we're going to do. I'm going to show you the analog. I'm going to show you the digital. And then I'm going to show you the quantum. So in the analog, I'm going to show you the tool sets to get you started, which is the basic, everyday tool sets that you're used to, which is here's an application, start it up, here's my environment, and get it running. Then I'm going to show you the digital, which is I'm going to take the data and then I'm going to push that application to Azure. And then I'm going to show you the quantum, because I'm going to get the application to connect to GPT 3.5 with Azure Cognitive Search, and then we're going to ask it some pertinent questions on corruption. Okay. So I promise I won't leave the browser, but I do have StreamYard running here, so I don't want to leave that browser. Now don't close StreamYard in the middle of your talk, though. That's a big no-no. So let's go in here, and I want to start off from 0. It's always interesting to start off 0. Let's minimize that, because I'm going to go to GitHub. So they phoned me and they said, okay, cool, Rory, go and find a template and present this. So I went to Awesome AZD. I helped maintain it and create some of these templates here. And then Awesome AZD, I said, cool, I want to show them .NET, because this was a .NET workshop. I offered Java. They said, no. And then over here, I want to do Azure OpenAI Service. And it gives me the templates now that I can run. You can see there's quite a lot of them. So ChatGPT, Enterprise Data, and Azure OpenAI Cognitive Search. Yes, please. So now you go in there and it says, okay, cool, how do I get started? Remember the init part here? So now you go down here, and you just go Azure init. Now I'm going to run this locally here, because I actually want to show you it works. Control C. Let's go back into CMD, command line, and I want to do AZD auth login, AZD auth login. Don't misbehave now. Don't multi-factor authenticate me in a live demo, okay? I have my phone on me, but play nice. This is a Microsoft laptop. Great, thank you. Okay, so we've auth there. Now it's going to load the subscription. Now I have a lot of, I have $500 to spend on my subscription, but I have also other subscriptions. Okay, it's fine. Logging to Azure. So let's go there and let's go AZD init. We don't want to do that in my root here. Let's make that bigger. If at any given time my font's too small, please tell me. I want to go to cd dev. No, there. So I want to go cd. I want to go cd dev. And then I want to go Control V. AZD init. Initializing a new directory. Project here, doing so, initializing. No, definitely not. Okay, no. So I want to go mkdir dvt cd dvt. Okay, that's it. That's all you have to do to actually create your bot. What I just did. AZD auth and AZD init with your template. Obviously, you don't have the corruption material. So I went in there and just went and created that corruption material. What it's going to do right now, it's creating a bot, but it's creating the bot there on Northwind Traders. It's creating the entire cognitive search on Northwind Traders, which is a terrible canonical example that we are just using to the nth degree here. So yeah, we want a new environment. Cool. Did it? Wow! It actually says that you need a new version. Oh, okay, there. Let's go dir. There we go. And then I go azd app. And what azd app is it's gonna run it in there. You can actually do azd app or that. It's gonna take the bicep files. Don't worry, I'm gonna go through with that with the demo. So while this is running, I'm very curious to see if it runs end to end, because I'm actually gonna go and create an entire environment live on air with all of you here. So I had to go in now and say, cool, I've got this template. And I didn't really want to upgrade my PC to get it working. So instead, I'm going to go into the template that it did create. So let's go into here. I'm going to go into Rory P. And then / we want to go in there. So this is the repository I created here. It looks exactly the same as that. And I want to go into code spaces. And here's my code space. Because every single template that we create actually contains a dev container, which means you can run it in code spaces or on any PC that can run it, which includes my cell phone. So now I've got my application here. And this is Visual Studio, but this is running in the browser. I'm going to run this locally now. First, I want to give you a demo of what I did to actually change it and what it's doing with the data. Let's just go back in there and just check in. Okay, we want to do that. We just want to tell it a location. Okay, West Europe, yeah.
Is Northwind Traders like Contoso?
Yes, it's like that. It probably is Contoso, I don't know. It's one of those ones that we do until our eyes bleed. Okay, so it literally didn't run locally, which is really good for the demo, because I can actually show how this can run in the dev container. So, okay, so that's interesting. So let's go, no, yes. So I've got this running here locally. And the first thing I want to show you is the read command here. So let's just minimize that there. So I've got a C# class here. And in the C# class, where are we going here? No. Just a bit dark with, let's go here. Yes, here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use the LLM to get a query to see what the person is asking for. We're going to say, LLM, what are you, ChatGPT, what is he asking for? And the LLM is going to tell us. And then we're going to go, oh, I've got that data in the Azure Cognitive Service. And then I'm going to go and query the Azure Cognitive Service. So the step one, we're going to get the LLM to get the query. Step two, we're going to use the query to search related documents. So I've taken all of those PDFs and using Azure load testing, I've chunked it up and chucked it into Azure Cognitive Service. And then step three, we're going to use the LLM to get the answer. So let's first go into and do it manually. So let's first go into the portal here. We've got portal azure.com. I want to show you the data that I've ingested, and then let's play with the bot a little bit here. So let's go into our resource group. So when you do AZD up, except for this little laptop issue that I had there, it will go in and it will create a full resource group with all of these options here. So you've got your container app. Let's go there. Let's make that a little bit bigger. You've got your cognitive service, your container registry, your key vault. Remember, we don't trust any of you with the password. Redis to keep a cache for the documents. And then we've got our search service. So yeah, okay, cool. I've chunked my documents. I popped them in there. What is in here then? So let's go Search Explorer here. Cool. Give me everything search equals to corruption. And this is the same search that your LLM can call. Because if you ask for it, hey, give me something for corruption, you can go into cognitive search. Remember, cognitive search is super fast. It's indexed, super highly indexed on certain fields, on certain data, way faster than an LLM. You never want to go into ChatGPT and say, give me all the records for everything at all time. First of all, you're going to pay for my kids to go to college. But second of all, it's very, very slow. So you go search equals to corruption. And now I can go search. And it'll give me all the documents and also the fields. Let's go a little bit down there. Relating to all of the documents I've ingested. So here's anti-corruption, public sector corruption, learning outcomes, public sector. Just from that little, and now I can drill down deep into each one of those documents. So I've got the data in there now. Okay, cool. Now I need to go to my LLM. So if I go to Azure OpenAI, and I've got my little cognitive search here, and you'll see there I've got GPT 3.5. I'm going to ask it what does it know about corruption? Because it also knows about corruption. But then there's a problem. Do you see the problem here? Because which one overrides which? And next, I'm going to show you how to do that. So go to Azure OpenAI Studio. What do you think it's going to ask when I ask it about corruption? Corruption is bad, Rory. You should do only the right things. You don't live in South Africa, do you? Okay, let's go find that. Okay, so this is Azure OpenAI Studio. Remember that AZD app deploys all of it into that, though. But also deploys a dev container, which you can go in and run all of that instance there. So let's open here. So, okay, so here's the completions playground. So let's go chat playground. And I want to show you the bot that we've got here. And I want to go show panels. And let me make that a little bit smaller. So here's the deployment. It's called Turbo. And I'm going to go, what do you know about corruption? And it's going to say, as an AI language, might I have access to information about corruption? Corruption is a form of dishonor. Okay, cool. But what about the UN stuff? Now I can go in there, and I can go into the, where's the show panels? Show panels, assistant setup. I can go into the assistant setup, and I can say, please just tell me the right thing. Tell me the UN examples of corruption and all of that specifics. And every single time we can do that. So what you want to do is you add that guardrail. Remember what I said about the guardrail? So that's another guardrail. So we've got the cognitive search that is going to retrieve the information. Then we've got the Azure OpenAI, but you need to tell it, you need to hone it in with multiple guardrails to do that. So if you go back to our little template here, when we actually go and search it, we add a guardrail here. And we have a prompt service here. Let's go in very brief here. You are a system assistant who helps people understand corruption. And only answer with the facts listed in the sources below. If there are isn't enough information, say so. Do not return format, return it in a tabular format though. So we're adding a guardrail, and then we're also making sure that we go to our data source and retrieve that information back, augment it back in correction here. So let's run this locally. Let's run this in the cloud. So let's go terminal, new terminal here. I just want to tell it where the key vault is, and watch what I'm going to do. I'm just going to tell it where the key vault is. As soon as I go in and it authenticates in the key vault, it has everything. Because the key vault has all my passwords, all my URLs, and everything. I don't have to worry about it. And then I can just go .NET run project, localhost, 7181. I still have the one running on Azure, which I'm going to show you a little bit later, but now I can run it locally. You can also debug it locally. You can't really do it debug locally on code spaces because there's so many ports that open there, but you can also debug it here. So now it's going to go in there. Before I carry on, I just wanted to show you some of the data files. While that's taking a second here, let's go into our data files here, and here's a PDF. Let's go open in browser. Okay, no, we want that, open in browser. I want to go back into there. Okay, so here's no, don't open a PDF like that, you silly IDE. So let's go reveal in open with. I want to go and show it on the path, open to the side. Wow, that is, okay, don't worry, I will speak to the team though. But that's an anti-corruption PDF there, right there. And it basically goes through, and it's pretty detailed around that though. So let's go in, I really want to show you this. Let's go copy path. Copy path, here. And I want to go here, Control V. Workspaces, okay, that's why. Okay, let's go into that, we have time. Let's go into, it's in the cloud. I just tried to open a PDF that was actually in the cloud, that's why. Okay, I've got it. See, sometimes I don't remember I'm actually running in the cloud. Okay, so we can't actually do that because it's in, that's why I kept on opening up. I couldn't actually see reveal in File Explorer. Okay, so let's go back into here. Let's see if we've got our bot running locally. Yeah, we do. Here's our Blazor OpenAI. Now we've got our bot. First of all, we have our documents here. So we can actually see the documents here. So it's actually going to go get the documents. You can actually click on them here. You can preview. I can preview here in the cloud, in the web, trying to localize. I have to tell my children this. This is what I did. So here's the tools. Now, this is hard to read. So what we did is we created Form Analyzer, Azure Cognitive Services Form Analyzer, and then we chunked it into Redis. And all of that is actually in the template, vetted by our data analysts to do that. Cool, so here's one, citizens' participation in anti-corruption. Let's go query that. Academics and professionals. So now I've got chat here. And it says, whoa, chat with your data. What is corruption? Now it's prompting me that, because in that code, it actually understands what to do there. What is corruption? What is corruption in the public sector? What is corruption in the private sector? Okay, let's go talk to it. Okay, so I don't know if that's going to work here, because I'm plugged into like 1,000 microphones and everything else. So, okay, cool. What did we see there? Academic corruption. Academic corruption. Corruption. What it's going to do then, it's going to go into the Azure Cognitive Search. It's going to retrieve back it, but then the guardrail is the GPT 3.5. Now it's got the document that we care for. It's going to tell you sources. This is a big push that we're having now with AI, that you have to quote your sources of material. And you'll notice that if you go into Bard or Bing and you say to it, please give me that, it'll say these are the sources for everything. Because there's a big pushback from industry to say, if you're going to say something, prove it was that it's not copywritten, and two, what is your sources for that? So there are multiple definitions of corruptions because societies, organizations, and individuals come to corruption with different concerns and goals. If you have a specific context or country in mind, I may provide the information, more information. Okay, so it's using document 37 on the chunk there. Now, we can see its thought processes. So over here we can say, you search for academic corruption definition or examples or types. So remember, I searched for academic corruption. It took that, it went to GPT 3.5. It said, what is he searching for? And it used semantic kernel to go in and create more of the planning stages to say, now, once you have that, go to cognitive search, go to Azure OpenAI, and also use the guardrails for a system assistant that helps us people understand corruption, and then a few examples here. We can also add voice chat into here. Let's see if this works. Clippy, what is your name?
Is it inappropriate to ask a Microsoft employee about Clippy?
My name is Blazer Paperclip Clippy.
So we've changing that also. So we have a company called Nuance, and if you've seen some of the examples, it's like speaking to a human. So ChatGPT, this example here with your documents, you'll be able to just have that tit-for-tat conversation with an AI assistant, with your documents, with the guardrails that you have there. All at the same time, working in a browser on, this laptop. You might get a little bit confused like me, like where am I actually working from? In the bath or wherever that you have though, but no database. So the data flow is changing a little bit. We're getting AI to kind of be our DBAs almost, and then retrieve that information. Okay, so the final thing I wanted to show you is the end of the slide deck. Okay, so living in we are analog beings. I showed you the process to get started, that you just go in it and you create the template. You open that template up in my code spaces. I'm using my personal account. It's cost me like 30 cents to do all of that development there. I'm running 16 core CPUs with 128 gigs RAM, which is about 5 times faster than that though. It's costing me, I think it's $1 an hour for a development environment. Then we took everything and we popped it into Azure, and at the same time it uses Bicep. Now Bicep is a version, kind of like a version of infrastructure as code, and it goes in there and can version everything and can upgrade it for you. And then finally then we did the quantum future. We saw how we're getting a bot to help us retrieve data, but we had to add multiple levels of guardrails in that to be able to do that. Guardrail number 1, we had to give it the information in a cognitive search, fast information, so it could speak quickly to it. Guardrail number 2 is that we had to use a model that was locked down with GPT 3.5 with responsible AI. Guardrail number 3 is we had to tell it what it was and it wasn't allowed to do with that little prompt, the meta prompt of that. And guardrail number 4 is the application, because inside there we've got semantic kernel running the planner services there and all the skills to go in there and scrub the data and look up the data and go through all of those nuances around it. So let's see it actually now. You can, I'm very curious. If you want to, can you open up your phones and snapshot this?
Feels like a trap.
It's for the UN, so if it's not working, then they're going to be upset. I want you to try ask it something that isn't pertinent to corruption. Ask it to code something for you.
Is there a limit to how many, like how big the documents are that you could feed in? So like I'm thinking like.
So all those documents that I had there is 1.2 megs. So it's not big. Remember, text isn't big. It's not big at all though. So you will be throttled on the Azure OpenAI service before you actually have a limit. So to answer your question is no. There isn't a limit.
Because like.
You could ingest an entire company
quotes from the Zondervan.
or the entire works of Shakespeare, which was 1.5 million tokens. The QR is not working, just go to the aka.ms UNODC. So yeah, please try jailbreak it.
So I asked it if I could order chicken chop suey, and it said, sorry, I don't understand what you're asking for. We got some question about corruption. Yeah, the same way.
Okay, now ask it about corruption. Or your home loan. Or your pictures from your holiday. Or your car service history. But you get what I'm doing though. So if I can create this in 4 hours time at night and deploy it, and it costs me, this bot costs me less than $1 to run the entire thing, because it runs on container apps, which are basically free. It's ingested all the data, which is only 1.2 megs. And then it also uses a bot 3.5, which is also relatively free. No database. No large-scale hosting platform. And this is what you really want, though, because I could see your eyes water when I showed you awesome AZD. So we have thousands of templates that I just showed there. You want .NET, you want Java, you want Python, you want Perl? No, PHP, that's how old I am. Anything you can think of, we actually have in the awesome AZD template. Any service that runs on Azure with Azure CLI can run it. And then I have that, the real QR code that we're going to leave it on there, because that's really what you want. And that's the end of my slide deck. Okay, so questions. Many questions, I'm guessing. Many questions. Do you still have a job? Yes, you're going to do this. This is your job. You're going to go into the awesome AZD and you're going to actually create those templates. You're going to learn how to do it. You saw that the actual glue was a little bit complicated between the cognitive search and everything, but you don't have to worry about that. As long as you have a large ecosystem of 40 million developers working towards it. And that's really what the push is now, with that awesome AZD to go in and create it. When I started, there were 5 templates. Now there's hundreds. Sorry, did you just scratch it, or were you willing to give me a mercy question? Oh, okay. Yes?
What about costs? Like, how is the cost with the amount of data that you give it and amount of interactions with?
I have a limited Azure account. I get scrutinized to the nth degree. So if the costs ever exceed anything of anything, I am in trouble. I guarantee I spend less on cloud than you do. So I'm going to show you here. So this is the entirety of the UN bot here. And I've been running this now. Don't close StreamYard, Rory. So here's the awesome AZD chat playground. Let's go to portal here. I'm going to show you the cost. And this is, I presented it at the UN and also multiple times around that. So if I go into the resource group here, I go view costs. I'm going to show for all time. So this is, imagine this running, then this was running at the UN for the hackathon and for the workshops that I did to train them. And let's go accumulated costs, and we want to go the last 12 months. $9 for ingesting the data, for running all of those services, for running the container app, for running the Azure Cognitive Search, the Redis cache, the actual model, and also all of the data through and from it.
Shows you how much it costs to store data, eh?
But data in your mind is this relational database with billions of tables and structures which make sense to no one or nothing around it. Whereas data to me is the actual data. It's the document. And then I index it correctly. And then I take that index data and then I just need an assistant. And my assistant goes in there and goes in and finds the data correctly. Oh, this caught your attention. Now I've got your attention.
And when it comes to scalability, does a template come with like a base, like as you said, like processing power and stuff like that? Do you determine if you want to go bigger or not? Like what? Let's say you start from scratch and it becomes big, whatever you deploy.
So it runs on container apps,
Yeah.
and container apps are Kubernetes. That's where the Kubernetes is. Sorry, that's what, because the container apps is Kubernetes. So you can spin up 100,000 nodes of this. Obviously, you need to have some kind of state transition or state handling for your data. But Azure Cognitive Search does all of that for you. So if you want to put data in and out of that, it indexes us out there. Understand, if you're going to go in and re-index data over and over and over and over and again, then yes, you're going to incur costs. But I didn't need to do that. I index it one, my documents don't change, and then I can retrieve the data from that. But let's go scale. Let's do it live on air. Let's go scale. So let's go home. Let me go into container apps. I'll show you how easy it is. Let's go into there, to that scale. This is the bot holding the actual Blazor app. So you've got a front end running Blazor, and then you've got a back end running C#. So I can go into here. Let's see how big this is here. So let's go scale up. Scale and replicas. I am going to delete, no, I'm not going to delete this. I must just make sure don't break the UN bot. Okay, cool. So here's the bot here. Here's the no scaling rules, revision, edit and deploy, scale. Let's just go to, how many we can do there? We can go up to 300. Okay, I'm not going to go 300. Let's go 2 and create. But you can scale on metrics. You can scale on CPU. You can scale on usage. So as the bot needs more, or the web app needs more, you can just scale it up. And then at the same time, let's go for containers. Let's see what the container's running here. And it is running 0.5 CPU, that Blazor app, 1 gig of RAM.
It's little.
It can run on a Raspberry Pi. It costs $9 to run this end to end. And I had the entire consortium of, it was for UN Hackathon and Corruption running on it. Okay, so that was good questions.
Because you scaled it up now, it'll load quicker, right? Because it's still loading on my phone. I just checked my...
Okay, so let's go, so let's scale it up. So let's go chat. What is corruption in public sector? Also, it does like a rollout deploy because it's Kubernetes. So it will pick up one of the nodes is available, and then the other isn't, and then it will do that. Remember, Blazor also is stateless. So unless you want to add state into it to sticky sessions, and the container apps can do from last month, sticky sessions. So you can have same app to the same container downstream. That was brave of me. Scaling live on air. Yeah, that was brave. Let me just unscale that. But it's not going to cost me much though. But yeah, container apps are so cheap. They're so great. They're just, yeah. Okay, any other questions? That was a good question. I don't have anything to give you.
Another one.
Yes.
Like typically organizations have got their own data, right? That is constantly growing, it's not static. So can you have like a pipeline where you say you have old data, then you've got new data coming in that?
Do you have SharePoint?
Yeah.
SharePoint does all of that now.
Okay.
So when I log in, so I've got an E5 license. I am Microsoft. But if you have an E5 license of Microsoft and you have SharePoint, all of your documents, the minute you create them and you pop them in there, it indexes them to Azure Cognitive Services for you immediately. You already have them there. It already has that. You can change the index slightly if you want to do some queries though, but yes, you can. So that's where we were going though. So if you have Office and you have a document, it's going to index it for you without you having to worry about it. That's not the question you should be asking. Rather, the question you should be asking is, how do I get my bot to help me find that information? Because I've just told you, it's going to index it. So how do I get it? And you get it with this template, because you have to add the responsible AI to it. You have to guardrail it, guardrail it, guardrail it. Else people are going to go, please add, I want to add chicken chop suey on your bot. They will. And then instead of your home loan, you're going to get chicken chop suey. And it's up to us to actually know how to do those guardrails, how to do the meta prompts, how to do the cognitive search, and also how to create those templates to be able to enable your customers to utilize those tools. So thank you, everyone. Great question. Thank you very much.